The Avenues gang has been around for decades and has laid claim to some of the most violent and vicious crimes that Los Angeles has seen. Two friends and also Avenue gang members, Christian Facundo and Francisco Telemontes, along with their friend Ashlyn Smith, were out and about the night of the 26th, heading into the early morning hours of July 27th. They'd been vandalizing, they'd been getting into fights, they'd been tagging. And around that same time, Juan Jose Diaz, a veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, sat in the bed of a pickup truck with childhood friends and his girlfriend at a taco stand in the Lincoln Heights area. Just enjoying the time, enjoying the early morning hours, not a care in the world. At that same time, Juan Jose Diaz spotted Facundo spray painting a sidewalk with gang-affiliated graffiti. He questioned him as to why they were doing it and asked him to stop. Christian Facundo didn't hesitate. He immediately became aggressive and combative in nature. Facundo, again, not even hesitating, approached the group. Officer Diaz, his two friends, and his girlfriend pulled up his shirt and exposed a handgun that he concealed in his waistband. Facundo then walked to the other side of the street, and at that exact moment, Officer Diaz said, "We need to get out of here." His friends and his girlfriend decided to leave. They climbed into a truck. As they were pulling out, driving away, Christian Facundo and Telemontes ran up to the right side of the vehicle and started shooting.
Good afternoon. And, Officer Diaz loved everything Los Angeles. This is a city he grew up in. At his memorials, we see a lot of these Dodgers flags. He absolutely loved the team, and the city loved him right back. The looming question this afternoon is, has an arrest been made in this case? And unfortunately, I just got off the phone with LAPD, and the answer is still no.
He's gone, and I hope he made it to heaven. And we're just here to to tell the family, to have peace.
Today, Angelenos stop and mourn at two memorials for slain Officer Juan Diaz. Candles burn where he was gunned down in Lincoln Heights.
We had that urge to come in and just say, in our hearts, I'm glad you passed from here to a better place.
And another memorial outside LAPD headquarters where he once worked. A note reads, "Rest easy, brother. We'll hold the line from here."
Grew up in a gang-infested neighborhood and still never joined a gang, always did the right thing. And unfortunately, we're in this situation right now.
As kids, we grew up together. He was just always the most kind-hearted kid I've ever known.
Mayor Garcetti ordered flags fly at half-staff. Officer Diaz was murdered early Saturday outside a Lincoln Heights taco stand. He was off duty with his girlfriend and her brothers when he saw a possible gang member tagging and tried to intervene.
We have a mom, a dad, broken. When they ask us, what do we want to be when we get older? He put police officer. He had that set in his mind, and he did it.
Over the weekend, Diaz's brothers and sisters from the force lined the streets to honor his life and sacrifice.
There's nothing guaranteed. So a day like this, it strikes at the very core of who we are. So to be able to honor that is something very special for all of us.
Diaz had served for 2 years with LAPD under the Professional Standards Bureau. At just 24 years old, he was at the dawn of his career.
We just came by to say a little prayer.
And we saw that repeatedly. Friends from high school, other people in the community who just wanted to pay their respect to Officer Diaz. If you have any information at all, you are asked to give LAPD a call. I'm Christina Pascucci reporting live from Lincoln Heights. Glenn and Lou.
Hello, I'm Brandy Hitt. Police have made arrests in the deadly shooting of an off-duty LAPD officer. Now, they served search warrants in Glassell Park near Carlisle Street and West Avenue 31 today. And that's where we find Eyewitness News reporter Annabelle Munoz live with the very latest. Annabelle.
Hi there, Brandy. This is one of the neighborhoods that saw a very heavy law enforcement presence. Now, Air 7 was over the scene as investigators served warrants as they detained several people and then released them in this investigation. They also appeared to possibly gather some evidence. Now, right now, 3 suspects are arrested in connection with the murder of LAPD officer Juan Jose Diaz. Police served warrants in Glassell Park, but also in Murrieta, where one person shot this video of activity happening there early today. Officer Diaz was off duty with his girlfriend and her 2 brothers over the weekend when he reportedly spotted a group tagging graffiti and told them to stop. He was then threatened by one of those individuals who shot Diaz and injured one other person. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and LAPD Assistant Chief Beatrice Germala both addressed the arrest during a cadet graduation. They thanked the detectives who have worked around the clock on this investigation.
This morning in Riverside, arrests of 3 individuals who we believe are the primary suspects responsible for the murder of Officer Juan Diaz are now in custody. We are pleased to have these folks in custody. We can't give all details of everything that happened at this point, but we expect the district attorney to formally be bringing charges in the coming days. But the good news for the family, the good news for Juan's memory too, is that today the 3 primary suspects we believe responsible are in custody.
These arrests are the latest development in the investigation into this off-duty LAPD officer's killing. Now, right now, investigators have not identified the suspects who were arrested in connection to this murder. They're only describing them as being...
In Los Angeles, suspected gang members got a rude awakening. Police arrested 46 in the wee hours of the morning, processing them at a makeshift command center near Dodger Stadium. The reason? A year-long investigation into the Avenue Street Gang, beginning after a county deputy was shot and killed in 2008. Those charged believed to be gang members.
A lot of other crimes associated with the Avenues gang were discovered, including murders, many instances of drug trafficking, conspiracies to commit murder, and extortions, among others.
An alphabet soup of federal and local law enforcement numbering around 1,200 swooped into suspected homes in LA and surrounding suburbs, executing...
Two of the 3 suspects in custody charged with murder with special circumstances. There is a 4th person involved in this investigation. Another woman, she is not being named or has been charged in the crime, but she apparently is an integral part in the investigation. Officer Juan Diaz, according to LAPD, was murdered during a crime spree that occurred on the early morning of Saturday morning, July 27th. Here is the timeline. Officer Juan Diaz was murdered right after midnight, 12:42 to be exact, was when they got the call of the shooting. Officer Diaz was off duty with his girlfriend and a couple of friends when the group was enjoying some food at a place known as Taco Alley in Lincoln Heights. 20-year-old Christian Facundo Virieta and 23-year-old Francisco Talmantes of Temecula have been charged with the murder of Officer Diaz. Facundo is accused of doing the actual shooting. A 3rd suspect, 18-year-old Ashlyn Smith of Temecula, was charged with shooting into an occupied motor vehicle. Those 3 are in custody. The crime spree started, according to police, with the trio vandalizing the car of a former boyfriend of another woman who was with the trio. She's not being named at this time. At the taco stand around 12:40 that morning, Officer Diaz and his friends asked Facundo to stop tagging the sidewalk there in Lincoln Heights. That apparently angered Facundo. Facundo and Talmantes later, as Diaz and his friends were getting away, trying to get away in his pickup truck, that's when the shooting started. The 2 suspects went up, and Facundo allegedly shot into the pickup truck, shooting and killing Diaz. LAPD Chief Michael Moore says he believes he knows why the 20-year-old opened fire at Officer Diaz and his friends.
Why they chose to do this, I believe, is that the bravado or the just a senseless lack of any respect for life to go out and exact violence like this for such a trivial matter of someone making a mention to a person doing something wrong is intolerable. And I look forward to justice being served as to consequences.
And not long after the shooting of Officer Diaz, the crime spree continued as police say the trio tried to attack the former boyfriend of that 4th person, another woman who was with the group. Again, this is a person who hasn't been charged with any crime and is an integral part of the investigation. The 3 suspects in custody were scheduled to make their first court appearances this afternoon in Superior Court. Officer Diaz's funeral has been scheduled for next Monday here in downtown Los Angeles.
Juan Jose Diaz, you will forever be my baby brother. You showed us what it was like to be fearless, and I promise to follow by example.
Sarahid Diaz remains strong as she spoke at the funeral for her slain younger brother, LAPD officer Juan Diaz, who was senselessly murdered 16 days ago in Lincoln Heights. She shared what the 24-year-old had told her just weeks before his death.
I feel like I'm on top. I'm so happy. Feel like I have it all. My dream job, my sexy truck, and a loving girlfriend.
But Diaz's life was cut short after he was allegedly shot by 20-year-old Christian Facundo, who's now in jail facing murder charges. Diaz had been off duty with friends when he approached Facundo, spray painting gang-related markings on a sidewalk and asked him to stop.
Lo siento por su sacrificio.
Mayor Eric Garcetti choked back tears, speaking to the Diaz family, trying to make sense of his death.
Juan Diaz didn't just do what was right some of the time, he did what was right all of the time. And that speaks to each one of us who have those decisions to make every single day.
LAPD Chief Michael Moore said Diaz made a mark during his 2 years with the department.
Juan was gifted. He was a young man with impeccable values and a work ethic beyond comparison. Juan may have only been with us a short time, but his legacy of dedication and service will live on for decades as a standard for all of us to strive.
After the service at Our Lady of the Angels Cathedral, Officer Diaz's body was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Cemetery, where there was also a missing man formation flyover and a riderless horse ceremony, symbols of a fallen officer.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Green Lit Gang TV. Appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Pretty crazy story. I found this one as I was doing some research today. We're coming to gang. We have not covered the Avenues or the Avendidas or the AVEs. It's a Mexican-American criminal street gang, mostly in Los Angeles County, California. Interestingly enough, they originally started as a social club for local Latino youth to protect themselves from other violent use. The Avenues, like most Mexican gangs in LA, are under the direct control of the Mexican mafia. And it's like, sounds like a broken record, right? When they are sent to state, county, or federal prisons and at the street level, it's all the same, guys. If you're a Southsider, if you're a Soreño, a clique of any sort, you are going to fall under the umbrella of the Mexican mafia. The Avenues gang is no different. The only thing I did notice about the Avenues gang is how long they've been around. The Avenues were not always violent when they started. They rarely engaged in legal activities. They were started by the Flores brothers in the 1940s, but little is known about the brothers. The greatest of their crimes, and most they were doing in the 40s, like simple assaults, fighting, and that's what you hear about a lot in the old school gangs, is before drugs really hit the open market. A lot of times it was just fighting. You meet up with your friends and you fight. You have it out. It wasn't for another couple decades like this exactly reads, this progression. As time progressed, numbers increased, they become more violent, and started to act more like a criminal street gang and less like a social club. By the late 60s, when heroin started to flood the streets, they turned for the worse and would be forever more labeled a criminal street gang. They increasingly took part in the illegal drug trade, and this just continued to pick up and pick up and pick up. Okay. Then growing from a neighborhood social club into a highly organized gang, and their territory stretched about 6 miles. The Avenues also began to clash with neighborhood gangs around there, and I put up a picture of the map. The Highland Park 13, Cypress Park Boys, Tunerville, Frogtown, Rifa, and the Rascals. And it's all just power, guys. It's all power and respect. It's all the same thing all the time. I find myself saying a lot of the same things in these videos because it's true. They're coming up. A lot of them initially are created out of just sheer protection for themselves, and they don't start off bad. But after they build up numbers, they build up power, they build up respect, a change happens and a turn happens. And it's the same thing for the Avenues gang. I will say one thing that I read about, I didn't go too much into it because she deserves her own video, is I remember watching an episode of Gangsters America's Most Evil back in the day, and they did one on this lady, Maria Chata Leon, and apparently this was the gang that she had a lot of power and a lot of block control and was like the godmother of this gang. So I thought that was interesting. Doing my research, she came up in that. Leave a comment down below if you want to see me do a video on her. I really did think about it. I thought that was really cool. I just always remember that name. So the Avenues are located in Cypress Park, and Glazell Park, Highland Park, and Eagle Rock. I put up pictures of some of those landmarks, some of those areas. Each of the Avenues cliques claims a gang territory based on where gang members live. The main cliques are 43rd Ave, Avenues 57, Cypress Avenues, Division Street, and Drew Street, all centered on the streets for which they are named. Their barrio once covered almost 6 square miles. The Avenues have a long history of cultural involvement with the Mexican mafia. Gang members are secretive, and their code of silence is taken seriously. And violations have lethal consequences. And this is just kind of like all... I don't even need to keep going on. Respect and loyalty are considered to be important. Well, duh. That's for all the gangs, right? Respect and loyalty, of course. So now we get to Juan Jose Diaz, Los Angeles Police Department, California. End of watch, Saturday, July 27th, 2019, around 1 a.m. He was shot and killed shortly after midnight in the area of Avenue 26 and Humboldt Street. Excuse me, after taking law enforcement action when he observed several men vandalizing a wall. As we talked about in the beginning, and as you guys saw videos of, just one of those things, man. He's a cop first, right? So he's out with friends, he's out with his girlfriend eating tacos. It's 1 a.m. Sees kids spray painting a wall. I mean, I'm a little torn on this because it's like, man, dude, I get you're trying to stop them from what they're doing, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you're out with your friends. Part of me just wants to be like, man, just enjoy your food and leave. Nobody had to die. It said the other guy that was in the truck with him was also seriously wounded in the face. He'll never be the same again. You know, he's eating with friends, guys just tagging a wall, and you know, it just turns crazy. It just turns out that guy tagging the wall was Christian Facundo, 20-year-old Avenues member, Francisco Telemontes, a 23-year-old Avenues member. It said Ashlyn Smith, and one of them had a girlfriend, 21-year-old girlfriend that was with them. There was another girl that was tied back to it, you know, some hangers on. But those are the two guys that were actually Avenues gang members. And you're 20, man, and somebody tells you what's up. He's off duty. They don't recognize him as a cop right away. He challenges them, challenges their manhood. He got a gun pulled. They tried to leave the area. It's too late. So it's just a sad, crazy story. He's young. That's what sticks out in my mind. All these guys are young. The gang members are young. It just happens so freaking fast. It happens, and before you know it, your life's over. Your life's absolutely over. And this is what it is, though. This is gang life. This is what you sign up for. By 20, yeah, you've probably done a trip or two to prison. You know, or you're committing murder and you're going to go away for life, or at least for the next 25 years. So it said that they shot him several rounds into the back of the truck through the open right rear window. That's where Diaz got hit, and another man that was sitting, his friend, who was sitting in the back seat, that's who was critically wounded. The truck driver drove a short distance down the street, making a right on Avenue 26 where a traffic unit was found. So they found a cop. Authorities responded, and Officer Diaz was pronounced dead at the scene. He was with his girlfriend, so she saw the whole thing. And from the jump, the authorities thought the Avenues were gang member. It took about an Avenues gang member. The authorities took about a week to capture these guys. And these guys had actually been on a criminal spree that whole night. They'd vandalized a vehicle earlier. They'd laid in wait for an ex-boyfriend of one of the women they were with. I started shooting at him, and it said, thank God the gun actually jammed, malfunctioned, and that guy was able to get out of there. So it's just bad all the way around. And it's just one of those things, though, I do struggle because it's like, man, just leave it alone, man. Just eat your tacos and go home. Go with your girl and get out of there. And he felt the need to do something, and maybe that's the difference. That's why I'm not a cop, because I just would mind my own business. I'm not saying he shouldn't have or shouldn't have, but, you know, I do want you guys to comment down below. I'm wrapping this video up. Let me know what you would think. If you were sitting there, would you say something to somebody spray painting your neighborhood or an area you grew up in? Or if you just saw somebody doing the wrong thing and tagging a gang sign, what are you going to do in that situation? I really want to know what you guys would do. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.